Hey, what's up? I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video, and today I wanted to tell you about my new and first tattoo. I'd rather die in Jaeger is what it says. I figured I should start off with where it comes from. Here's a clip from the movie Pacific Rim.
Haven't you heard, Mr. Beckett? The world is coming to an end. So where would you rather die? Here? Or in a Jaeger?
So, that's kind of the essence of where it comes from. So, there's more to it than just that. So, like, the idea is, it's a pop culture reference, right? Charlie Hunnam's character never answers. The line never is said in the movie, I'd rather die in the Jaeger. The answer is given by the actions of the character. And that's kind of essentially what it means for me in some ways. Basically, the bottom line of it is it means to never give up for me. The meaning of it is more than the reference of the reference from the movie or anything like that. I was looking, throughout my life, I've had a lot of like personal mantras and things like that. And life has not been that easy for me for the last while. I'd say for a long time, life has not been easy, and I've been trying to figure out life in a way. But it being not easy, I never want to give up on it. You know, I always say my superpower is hope. I'm always hopeful for the future. I'm always hopeful that something else will manifest at some point down the line for the greater, for better, for more, for ease, for something else. But in that process, in that hope, you can't give up. You can't stop working toward whatever goals you have, whatever goals I have. I can't stop being present for my kids, being present for my life, being present for the people that are important to me, being present to my goals, and all those things. So throughout my, there's been a few years ago, I started like writing down kind of ideas and mantras in a sense that help motivate me to stay present. And when I lived in Seattle, I don't know if you can see it very well, I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff on these pieces of paper and stuck them on my wall. I'm going to read some of them. I'm going to read most of them to you. If you're going to do it like everyone else, you're doing it wrong. That's an idea. Get kicked out of the gym, an idea that came from The Rock. Eye on the prize, motivational. If you want something you have never had, you need to do something you've never done. Do what you can with what you got. Live every day with the best you can, and tomorrow even better. Always improving. Without goals, there are no rewards. Without goals, you can't score. Always stairs never escalate. That's from Casey Neistat, one of my favorite YouTubers. Do what you love, and love will come to you. Pretty awesome. Life starts outside your comfort zone. Remember what's important. Live every day with intention. No forks in my road. Take the risk. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. That's a huge, huge one for me. I might even get that put on my skin as well. No complaining. Savor life. Take one day at a time. Slow down. Live with integrity. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I have a good life. I have all that I need. Let the past go and live into the future. Please don't ever give up. Remember my power, hope. And on the bottom of this one, in the corner, it actually says, I would rather die in a Jaeger. Of course, I use a conjunction here. But, or is that what it is? Anyways, I'd rather die in a Jaeger. Those are some ideas. So, basically, when the movie came, looking for something that resonated with me, and about 2, maybe 3 years ago now, this idea, I watched the movie, and I was like, how can I frame all that stuff, all those things I just told you into like a concise idea, one small phrase. And really the idea of I'd rather die in a Jaeger really resonated for me because it's like the attitude of a warrior, the attitude of someone that never gives up. And for me, life, for long, even before the movie, even before I live this life of I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior of life. You know, I want to keep fighting and keep going and keep just working hard on everything I want to do. And that's actually why a big reason, the main reason actually why I wear a mohawk. And you can't really see it right now, it's kind of growing in, but I wear a mohawk. You know, the sides aren't shaved that great, but a big reason why I wear the mohawk is because, you know, it's a warrior's headdress. It's a warrior's way of wearing their hair, and I want to, and it makes me feel more like a warrior every day, and just keep fighting and keep doing what I want out of my life and keep working on it. So essentially, that's why I chose I'd rather die in a Jaeger to put on my skin. Another part, you know, there's one other thing I've been telling people that I say is that, you know, I'd rather wear out than rust out, and that kind of, you know, keep working, keep fighting, keep doing. And then, so the part of it, you know, associated with the pop culture reference of it, you know, I'm a very big fan of movies in general. I'm a very big fan of blockbuster type movies. I'm a very big fan of this kind of mythical, kind of futuristic sci-fi aspect of things. And so for me, like, the Jaeger, being a huge giant robot is pretty awesome to think about, and it resonates for me because I enjoy that. So combining, you know, my joy of like pop culture and joy of life with a message that resonates with me really worked well, and I wanted to put it on my skin and do that. There's also another piece, like, I'm in a band called the Zim and A-Rock, and we're a two-piece, we're a duo, and in the movie, Jaeger pilots work as a duo. You can't be a single Jaeger pilot. You have to be, you know, anyways, watch the movie for more references. But essentially, they built the Jaegers are so big that two people have to control them, two people have to do them. And I find, like, I see myself and my bandmate A-Rock as Jaeger pilots in the mission that we're doing with our music. It's like we both have to do it. So that's another connection of why I chose this term, why this term kind of relates to me as well. And also, ironically, in the corner you can see, I don't know what side it's on, I think it's over here, or over there, there's two little robots. And even though it's two robots and not one robot, this idea of robots, and that's the logo I've been using for a long time for the band, the Zim and A-Rock, for my podcast, Word on the Street, for pretty much everything that represents the Zim and what I do. I use that. It's on every video of my YouTube channel. These two little robots. And so this robots kind of thing has always been important to me. And as growing up, you know, you kind of are either a G.I. Joe guy or a Transformers guy. And I was hands down a Transformers guy. I still have all my Transformers. You can't see them in this, right? But let me see if I can leave this up. Well, you can't really see them, but up there are all my Transformers from when I was a kid, and more that I've been collecting over the years. So I think, I mean, I feel like that tells the story of why I chose this to put on my skin. What I went through, so thinking about, so it was time, so I was like, I wanted to get a tattoo. I've been wanting to get a tattoo for a while, and I couldn't, I have an idea for my right arm that I know I want to do that will be like $1,000 or more. It's like I want to do a whole like forearm piece that I just couldn't afford. You know, there's no way I could do it with what I had available now and the time and all this kind of stuff. And trying to find the artist to do it and all those reasons, it was I don't know. It just wasn't a reasonable thing for me to attain at this time, and I don't know when I'll be able to attain it. But I wanted to do it kind of all at once and kind of made up these rules. But I've been wanting to get a tattoo for a while, and deciding what to put on my skin was, you know, not easy until I kind of realized that this would work for me, because I knew I never wanted to put anything on my skin that was out of a book. I didn't want anything that was out of the book or anything that was traditional tattoo style or anything like that. I don't know if I've showed you. So the thumbnail for the video was the tattoo. I'm gonna put it up right now so you can see it as well. There's this the tattoo that I got. It was right there. So I kind of a few weeks ago, I decided I want to get a tattoo, and there's a couple other reasons why. Well, let's talk about where I got it done, and that'll play into some more reasons what it means to me. So I go to Seattle. I'm currently living in San Diego, and I go to Seattle every few months. I'm from Seattle. I was raised in Seattle. Been in Seattle since I was 3 years old until I moved here when I was 40, essentially, and to San Diego when I was 40. So I have a pretty strong attachment to Seattle, and I wanted to get my tattoo done in Seattle. So the last trip I made to Seattle was, I go back every 3 months for my podcast, We're on the Street, and I wanted to do it while I was there. So I asked a few of my friends for recommendations, and I got a couple back, and it was Ian Forrester from the band Dirty Dirty at the time of recording this, and he told me about an artist named Steph Hanlon that worked in Fremont at a Studio Arcana, I think. Oh, sorry if I mispronounced that, but it's Steph Hanlon. And she, so I did some research, and I went to her site and found her artwork. And so here I'll put up some of her, I'll let some of her artwork scroll through here. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, I can work with this. This is cool. I like this because it's not traditional tattoo. It's like I didn't want anything. I'm very much into not the typical stuff. And I'll tell you more about that later because it plays into what this feels like now that I have it and what it means now that I have it. But I very much didn't want to have anything quote unquote tattoo, like traditional tattoo work at all. I was looking for something outside of that. And at the same time, I wanted it to be an artist that I could just trust to do it. And so I found Steph, and she required, like, her thing, she's $180 an hour and required at least a 2-hour minimum. So I was like, okay, that means it's going to be a significant size. And then she's, got a reputation. If she can demand that kind of criteria for her work, she has a reputation. I got a recommendation from a friend. So there's these factors. I was like, okay, I trust that this artist will be able to do something good, even if, and pretty much what I didn't give her any rules or guidelines or art to go off of. I just told her I wanted a phrase, and I wanted her to do it in her style. And that's because I'm very big on, right now, especially like in my music creation right now, I'm understanding the value of having help, having other people put their influence on the music, like producers and things like that. So I'm really far on the end of the spectrum of going, this is my idea, please make it better, please help me make it better. And so I was kind of running with that idea with this, and so I just said, this is the phrase I want, this is the size I have to work with, and I like your work, and I want you to just create something. And I didn't see any reference to it until the day I showed up at the appointment for the tattoo. She showed me the lettering style, and I was like, cool, that's great. And then I just said, can you put some of she does this kind of, it looks, as you saw, like watercolor looking colors underneath her art and around her art. And I was like, can you do some kind of watercolor thing? And I had no idea what she would end up doing. And this is, what she came up with. And I'm, super, super happy with it. And so yeah, I think that pretty much completes the vetting process of why I decided who I have. And the last piece of that, kind of why I decided to do it in Seattle, and I wanted it to be done in Seattle by a Seattle tattoo artist, or because Seattle is important to me, so I always know that this was done in Seattle, and that was part of it. And then the other piece of it is kind of representing. I made a deal kind of with myself in a way, not deal, but an idea with myself that it's my 40th year this year. I turned 40 years old this year, and I want to basically celebrate my birthday once a month for the entire year. And so this was I hadn't really given myself any gift yet for my 40th birthday. There was nothing significant that I did or gave myself for turning 40, and so I decided to make this my gift to myself, was to get this tattoo. And so that's kind of what it's meant to me up till now. And then found Steph and had her do it, and it was awesome. So want to tell you a little bit as well about, so the process when I went, I was pretty nervous about getting it, but not too nervous. I got to the place and we started working on she showed me her design and I was like, cool, and we figured out the placement for it. And a lot of people ask me, you know, this idea, did it hurt and all that stuff. I'm sure a lot of people ask, or you're maybe wondering, or people ask that. And yes, it does hurt, but it doesn't hurt really crazy bad. But it almost during the process of having it done, it's almost enjoyable pain in a way, because for me, anyways, it's like the permanency of it is enjoyable. You know, knowing that it's there forever is enjoyable, and it was like, and the pain kind of helps create that permanency in a way, you know. And it's kind of a profound thought to think about when, you know, think the best things in life aren't always the easiest, you know, and it's a similar kind of feeling for that. And so getting it done, it was interesting because I didn't watch at all. I only looked at it one time while it was getting done because we took a break halfway through, and I kind of glanced over because she mentioned the blue that's underneath of it. She held up the blue, and I wasn't sure if she was planning on using the blue for the black. So we didn't really talk about what was getting done very thoroughly. I was just like, do it in a sense, because I really, like I said already, I wanted her to have her influence on it and just kind of do what she believed she could stand behind. You know, I wanted her to feel confident. I wanted the artist to feel confident about she could stand behind it and go, yes, I made that and I feel proud of it. And I didn't say that to her, but I hope she does feel proud of the work she did, because, I mean, I like it a lot, so I hope she likes it as well. So the only time I glanced at it was just to make sure that the black lettering was actually black and not blue. But anyways, but other than that, I just laid down and had it done and kind of visualized while it was getting done, this going back to the warrior aspect of things, of like making this mark, like about like going, you know, if I was an actual Jaeger pilot and that was an actual reality and I was getting ready to go into battle, the kaiju, right? The things that, you know, represent, you know, for me all the hardships of life, you know, the things that I don't give up against, you know, the things that I do go into battle against, you know, putting myself in a place of visualizing that, you know, I'm getting ready to go into battle and I'm putting on this mark to signify that I'm ready to die for it. I'm ready to keep working for it. I'm ready to keep going. And so while I was there, I like put myself in a place of like an actual Jaeger pilot. Like I'm actually going to be going into a big giant metal robot, and that kind of warrior aspect, that kind of, I don't know, it was just a mental kind of place I was putting myself in. It felt empowering, is really essentially what I'm trying to say. Is it felt empowering to do that and be there, and it was interesting having that sensation. And then also, you know, just a little bit more about the sensation of having it done. You know, the nerves on your skin, you know, work really funny. She said we were halfway through and it felt like we were already up to the pit of my armpit, but we were only like halfway on it and not all the way down. So it was just interesting how the body works when you're not looking at it and what it feels like. And there were certain, like the underarm was a little more tender than other parts, but it was curious where things hurt more than other parts. But yeah, so that's kind of what it felt like while I was getting it done. And now that it's on my skin, the feeling that I get is pretty profound, that it's here and it's part of me now. There's nothing better. It's interesting. There's nothing better to actually physically well, maybe not nothing better. It's not the right way to put it. But getting a tattoo is one way to actually physically change who you are. And it's, for me personally, like I feel like by having it on my skin now and having it done, you know, I know tattoos are more common these days than they were at one time, and more and more people are getting them, and so it's not as much of a taboo or of a kind of anomaly than it was, and the kind of social acceptance of it is broader and greater. But yet there is still a cross section of life, of humanity, that sees it as something counterculture. And I think for me personally, I find by having it on my skin, if I finally feel like I am represented physically the way that I feel internally, I feel much more counterculture than I kind of felt like I looked like. And I'm already feeling the effects of when people look at me and see it, the energy I get from them is significantly different than the energy I got from people before I had it. And I like that, actually. You know, I feel like they put me, they can align me in a place that makes sense. They see me as as an artist and a musician and a thinker of different thoughts than they used to before. I feel like before they saw me more as, I don't know, just, I felt like they saw me more as just kind of a typical person, I guess, in a way, whatever typical means. But they didn't see me, the outside of me didn't see me as an artist or whatever. I always saw myself as like, I always felt like I looked the part of like a frat boy or something like that. I always wear my hat backwards, and I just, the way I dress and things, I don't think I physically represented myself the way I actually was. And I know, there's part of me that likes being that kind of, unknown, like people think I'm something that I'm not. But having this on my skin now and having people actually see me for who I am right away actually helps me. It actually feels better than it did before. And I kind of like that there's an expectation, and I'm meeting them with the expectation rather than having them being so different. Because I've always I've always had a sense of kind of pride or something around the idea that I'm not typical, I'm not predictable, I'm not what people think I am. And it's interesting too, because most people see the tattoo and it plays into what they try to read it and they have no idea what it says, and most people, or what it means, and which is believable in a way, because it's an obscure reference for a lot of people. And they're like, what? And a lot of people think it has to do with alcohol, the Jaeger alcohol brand stuff. And I don't even drink. I don't drink. I'm basically a straight edge. I don't drink. I don't do any drugs or anything like that. So that's an interesting kind of twist on it. But it's, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that happens. But the fact that nobody knows what it is actually plays into the fact that I pick something that works well for me, because I don't like to be predictable. I don't want somebody to look at it and go and know automatically, or have it look like a reference that they know. It's like they see it as a tattoo, so that creates one reference in their mind, and then they go to actually read it and they go, I have no idea what that means. And so it's a duality of referencing that they're getting. And I kind of feel like, if anybody does understand it the first time they look at it and read it, then they're my people, So it's just interesting concept. So I'm glad, and I actually feel like basically the idea that I was talking about at the beginning of the video, with it being like a reference to never giving up, I've actually used it already as a way, as this like reminder. It gives me more power, in a sense, to keep going, keep fighting in life. By I just glance down at it, I see it on my skin, and not only, the way it looks makes me feel cool and good and powerful, but then the idea behind it resonates, and it gives me more energy to not give up and not fighting. And it's like, and just kind of when I get nervous, I just look down at it and I go, or anxious or anything that I'm dealing with in those kind of ways, I just kind of look at it and go, remember, don't give up. You'd rather die in a Jaeger. Whatever is confronting you at that moment, whatever is confronting me at that moment, I just go, just step up, be a man and do it, and just be there. So I really enjoy it. So I don't know. If you have any questions for me regarding it, I'd be happy to answer them for you. But I just wanted to share with you what it means to me, what the experience was like, and yeah. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon. All right, peace.